Hi, a very good morning to you. It's nice to see all of you here. This is R.N. Bhaskar from BKBB, an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. This is a channel that comes to you every week with policy analysis, conversations, and occasional business stories. But right now, at 8:15 in the morning, we come to you with news behind the news. Just a slight modification. Friday will be the last day when we have the daily chapter of this news behind the news. From next week, we shall have a weekly analysis of the week's news as part of news behind the news. The channel continues, the news analysis continues, the format will be slightly different. And today we bring to you some unusual stories, very important. And my co-anchor here is Katya. Katya, welcome to you. And both of us together are going to discuss three titles that are very important. One is about India's GDP growth. The World Bank has upped it slightly to 6.5%. But think again if it's good, because there are other issues. The second story is on Wework and how it's protected itself, insured itself for its forthcoming IPO. And the third one is about the very unfortunate cough syrup matter, causing 16 deaths. The matter may now go to the Supreme Court. And we take the first story first. Let's take the India GDP story first. Some papers have talked about how India's GDP growth has been upgraded to 6.5%. But think again. First, look at the chart. The chart will show that India is not the fastest growing economy in the world. There are other economies that are growing faster. Second, the 6.5% may be, let's say, a little optimistic. Remember that many jobs are going to go, and AI, artificial intelligence, may be the culprit, and this will come on the top of existing unemployment that India faces. When there's unemployment, you can expect consumer demand to slow down, and slowing consumer demand will hurt the fortunes of industry. And there's a third aspect. The government's been giving salaries to everyone, especially government and employees, one sector after another. It wants to win the elections. It says it's giving the salaries so that consumer demand will go up. But the inevitable consequence of that will be inflation. Expect all the three to hit the country very soon. And in any case, the World Bank has already said next year, India's growth may come down to 6.3% because it expects tariffs to hit India at that time. The tariffs are already hitting India now. World Bank expects it to become more severe in the coming year. So watch out. There's little cause for euphoria right now. And take the second story about Wework. Katya, could you come in?
So the Wework's IPO has already been subscribed, so it might be a little late in the day. Just want to point out all a laundry list of issues that proxy advisory firm InGovern points out about the company. It's yet to be listed. So for one, the entire 3,000 crore IPO is entirely OFS, offer for sale, which means all the money will go to the promoters. The company itself is not raising money. So added to that is the anchor investor share covers 45% of the issue. So which is also very, very, unusual in the market. And then there is a basic startup issues, like it's got negative cash flows. And more importantly, its lease costs consume 43% of the revenue, which is a very, very scary model if you ask me. And like all startups, its last profit that it has reported is covered by deferred tax credit. So there are multiple issues here, but more importantly, the more serious issues are ever repeated audit flags. Like like FY22 to FY23, many auditors have flagged the company, and then with response for it, these problems that were flagged were never solved, which shows very bad board and audit oversight. More importantly, both the promoters who are actually the selling shareholders face legal scrutiny. They've been under the scanner of CBI, ED, EOW for various issues like criminal conspiracy, cheating, breach of trust, money laundering, and more importantly, if this IPO never go through, it has now gone through. These shares were pledged, so if they wouldn't have gone through, it would have been in serious trouble. So there's a laundry list of issues, which is half. Some are unique to this company, some are not unique to them. And sir, why is it okay for company like that, companies like this to be listed? Because we all know, IPO happens. A company moves from selling shareholders to private equity. Private equity sells it off to QIBs, and QIBs keep they stay in the market, and literally comes in at a later stage. But if companies' fundamentals are so low, and if disclosures are very obviously not good, and board is having these kind of issues, how do they pass the SEBI muster to go public?
You're,
Because
you're
retail is
abs-
not do in-depth issues. So
in fact, you're absolutely right. SEBI is the first, there's a first stage where scrutiny is required. So that only companies that will not affect adversely the fortunes of investors are allowed to raise money for the public.
right.
The fact that SEBI has allowed this company is unfortunate. The company itself is playing itself safe. As you
Mm.
mentioned, it's a laundry list of flaws against the
Mm.
company, including money laundering. And some may view this entire public issue as another instance of laundering.
Exactly. Right.
And it's worrying that SEBI has kept quiet. Obviously, something must have pushed this past SEBI scrutiny. Again, a worrisome situation. And that
Right.
takes us to the third story. And the
Mm.
third story is unfortunately India shame. You may remember that a cough syrup was prescribed to children, and 14 children died. As of last night, it became 16 children. All the deaths took place in Madhya Pradesh, but the drug was also consumed by children in Nagpur, and doctors and parents are waiting by the patients who are in Nagpur hospitals, hoping that nothing happens. Now, typically, when a drug causes deaths, you know the drug is either contaminated or it had irregular combinations. Obviously, FDA's inspectors that cleared the drug need to be asked, how did they clear the drug? And what has the government done? The government has arrested a doctor. The doctor prescribed a medicine that was legally authorized by the FDA, by the government of India. He did nothing wrong. The doses he prescribed were therapeutic doses. There was nothing wrong. So why are you arresting the doctor? Why is it that the promoters of the two companies that made this drug in Tamil Nadu have not been arrested? And why is it that the FDA inspectors that cleared this drug in the first place have not been hauled up for questioning and maybe even sacked? There should be a murder charge against them. And rightly so, some people have taken the matter up to before the Supreme Court because you're playing with people's lives. When an inspector of an agency that's supposed to make sure that bad drugs don't come into the market allows a bad drug to come into the market, that is the first point of scrutiny. And that the government has not done that is a worrisome situation. One doesn't know what the Supreme Court will decide, but certainly everyone is agitated. That happened in Madhya Pradesh, which is a state run by the ruling party and which has been involved in many other scams in the past, including Vyapam, the examination paper leak. It does throw a very, very harsh light on the state's administration and governance. Let's see what happens. And that takes us to the last part. But before I come to questions and contents, let me remind you once again, please click the subscribe button. Please click the like button. It helps us immensely. But most of all, tell your friends about us. And by tomorrow, I shall tell you which day of the week we will go live for a weekly analysis of news behind the news. It is now we come to the questions that are coming, the responses. Incidentally, we decided to do the cough syrup story because yesterday there were several requests from you saying, from the audience, saying that we should do the story, and I agree, we should have done the story yesterday itself. It is a serious matter of administration, of law and order, of care for the lives of children and the lives of citizens. Horrible. And let's take the first question. The first question is, of course, a question that goes to Katya, and that is, in the IPO today, we have two IPOs. One is LG and the second is Wework. People are going to select a good company. But what you say, Wework has already been, it has already taken an insurance policy. Should people file a petition against this company? Katya?
So there is zero shareholder activism in this country. So, for example, I'll give you one instance of it. There is IPO insurance, which a lot of companies say in case some disclosures go wrong, etc., etc. But the premium that is quoted by insurance companies for it is very low. The size, the volume might be high, but the value of it is very low, and it is 3 to 4 times less than what it is in other countries, not just US. The reason for that is shareholders never sue the company. They never bother. There's a lot of resilience for lying, cheating, and a lot of things that people do. So, but personally, I think SEBI must take these new age company IPOs into perspective and see why they are putting, how can a company with negative cash flows show profit only using deferred credits, and how they are managing the books. It's become very, very obvious now. So they must tweak the rules to make it a little tougher for these companies which do that. So that is one point. And we have LG Electronics obviously is a very, very established company. We have Tata Capital also, but as I see the demand schedule for Tata right now, it's on its third day. 75% of the issue. It's a very, very large issue. So 15,000 crore issue. It's been subscribed, but the retailer interest is not as much as we expected, because earlier last time, when Tata Technology came in, it was subscribed. Obviously, it was a much smaller IPO. It was subscribed within 10 minutes, and there were retailers were going crazy for that company. But the retailer interest in IPOs is coming down, and that is something what companies have to keep in mind in the future IPOs. Obviously, IPOs are not stopping because there is liquidity in the market. So that's my opinion, sir.
Yes, and the fact is that mutual funds are flush with money.
Yeah, that's the one, liquidity in the
And
market.
that is why mutual funds will have to park the money somewhere. Rather
Somewhere.
than park the money in overheated market, it's best to go
Hmm.
for an IPO of a good company.
Right.
Of course, that will also mean cozy relationships, and one wonders whether this issue of a cozy relationship in WeWork is also the case right now. Let's see.
So 45% of that issue is anchor investors, which shows that a lot of this is being going to public to not so private, not so public. It's public money, but it's done by institutions. Institution money is eventually retail money, but the decision is taken by institutions. So there is some kind of handshaking happening behind the back.
Thank- Thanks. And there's a question about is the projected GDP growth of India true? Are the numbers fudged? Now, first, the use of the word fudged is not right here. The World Bank does its calculations based on the information provided by the government of a country. So it works its own statistical analysis and comes with an answer. Now, the World Bank has got a certain set of numbers. My analysis is maybe quite different from the World Bank's analysis. You take your choice, but I think the 6.5% will be rosy. Anyway, and that takes us to the third question, which is very, very vexatious. Has the has the Indian FDA given any explanation for clearing the contaminated drug? Well, so far as I know, there has been no information from the FDA how this drug was given a clearance. There's been no explanation from the police why the doctor was arrested. All the doctors across the country are agitated, furious, and expect a huge, a huge protest by doctors as well. But more important is the fact that this has happened again and again. Remember the Gambia deaths, where a substandard drug was exported. It went and was given to children in Gambia, and more than 70 children died. Gambia protested, India kept quiet. And it's frightening. Katya, do you have any views on this one? On the.
It's not just Gambia, sir. Uzbekistan also this has happened. Around
Yes,
70 kids died.
absolutely.
But at least some action was taken. 23 people, the distributor of that thing was suspended. 23 people were arrested. They've given sentences as long as 20 years, is what I understand. But Gambia is a much poorer country. India doesn't have any trade relations with Gambia. It does not scared of the company. So the children, deaths of their children do not matter to them. And obviously now, and then there was complete silence from the entire. The company was not taken into. There was a few arrests here and there, a few raids here and there, just to as eyewash, but no serious consequences come out of it. Had we woken up then, kids in Uzbekistan wouldn't have died. Kids in Madhya Pradesh wouldn't have died. They're just playing with life. Now they're trying to shift the blame to the doctors, saying, "Why did you prescribe a cough syrup to kids?" Sir, if I just want to bring this point, that since June and because and even September, because of very unusual rains, there has been a very bad viral going around. There were rumors that it was COVID, but it was equally devastating. So there were a lot of children who were affected. In fact, schools say that 25% of their attendance has gone down. So a lot of kids were affected. So for such a bad viral is going, cough syrup is a very good way. How much can a child suffer? How much can a child cough? Cough syrup takes some way out of it. So, looks like parents should continue doing home remedies until we can be sure if our drugs are going to help us or kill us.
And the fact that so many deaths have taken place and the FDA has not been touched is very sad.
I think three or two officials have been taken into custody, is what I latest read.
Oh,
But that is
wonderful.
also very slow and low action for for the level of crime that has been committed. I think we
Yes,
should recognize it as a huge crime and a huge failure. You
yes,
know,
yes, yes.
so
Anyway, that we've exceeded time brief, but thank you very much for being with us. And do put in your protests against the government's handling of this case. This is a case that determines the lives of people. And the FDA can't protect lives. It has no business to exist. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you once again tomorrow and shall announce the date on which we will have a weekly podcasts on the same show, BKBB News Behind the News. Have a great day today. All the best.